Tom Wilson was ejected from Sunday's preseason finale and now he is facing a significant suspension. The Department of Player Safety announced Sunday that it has offered Wilson an in-person hearing for his hit to St. Louis Blues forward Oskar Sundqvist. The date and time of the hearing have not yet been determined. Wilson was ejected from Sunday's game after delivering a high hit to Sundqvist which left the player down on the ice. Sundqvist had to be helped off and did not return. The announcement is significant as it means Wilson is facing a very lengthy suspension. The Department of Player Safety (DOPS) typically conducts hearings by phone. If the DOPS believes an incident could result in a suspension of 6 games or more, however, the offending player is offered an in-person hearing. A player can waive his right to an in-person hearing, in which case the hearing will be conducted by phone. A player waiving his right has no bearing on the length of suspension. It should be noted that an in-person hearing does not necessarily guarantee Wilson will be suspended 6 games or more. He could ultimately be given less. It merely signals to the player that they are facing a significant suspension. So why would Sunday's hit warrant such a significant suspension? Apart from the fact that the principal point of contact of the hit appeared to be Sundqvist's head, the current CBA between the NHL and NHLPA lays out several factors that can be considered by the DOPS in determining supplemental discipline. First, Sundqvist suffered an injury. Second, Wilson is a repeat offender as he was suspended 3 times in the 2017-18 season from preseason through the playoffs. Third, the fact that it was the preseason could also be taken into account. Per the CBA, the DOPS is allowed to take into account the situation of the game. A hit like the one Wilson delivered could be deemed as unnecessary in what amounts to a meaningless game. Should Wilson accept the in-person hearing, it will consist of himself, General Manager Brian McClellan, Wilson's agent and members of the NHLPA in addition to officials from the DOPS. Related Caps news: Tom Wilson could find himself in trouble with the Department of Player Safety over a hit he delivered to St. Louis Blues forward Oskar Sundqvist in Sunday's preseason's finale. From his teammates, however, Wilson got nothing but support. Wilson delivered a high hit to Sundqvist in the second period of the game that knocked Sundqvist down to the ice for several moments. Wilson was ejected from the game for the hit and Sundqvist had to be helped off the ice by teammates. Following the game, the Caps expressed sympathy for Sundqvist for suffering an injury, but noted the onus was on him for cutting to the center with the puck on the attack. "You never want to see a guy get hurt like that," Brett Connolly said. "It's a big hit. He definitely didn't see him coming. That's one of those things when you're cutting through the middle. It sucks the guy got hurt. At the same time, you can't be cutting across the middle," Devante Smith-Pelly said. "I don't care if it's preseason or the middle of the season. That play's not exactly the safest." Sundqvist entered the offensive zone on the left with the puck, then cut to the center and fired a shot just before he was hit by Wilson, who was coming in the opposite direction. Cutting across the middle offensively is a dangerous play for this very reason. An opposing forward is skating into traffic and, with the puck on his stick, he may not see a trailing player on his blind side. It was something where Wilson's coming into defensive zone coverage and where he's supposed to be and that hit happens, Todd Reardon said. "It was definitely in the game more 10 years ago where guys were getting absolutely killed coming across the middle," Nick Dowd said. "But that's part of Tom's game and that's how he's going to play." The hit will no doubt be reviewed by the Department of Player Safety to determine if any supplemental discipline is warranted. The call on the ice for which Wilson was ejected was an illegal hit to the head. The fact that Sundqvist had to be helped off and did not return to the game will likely hurt Wilson's cause, as will the fact that he was suspended twice for hits in the preseason in 2017 and again for a hit in the 2018 playoffs. But while that may lead some to label Wilson as dirty, he certainly is not viewed that way in the locker room. "Obviously livid looked painful, but that's how Wilson plays and guys have to know when he's out there," Dowd said. It's a personnel thing. I think he's a clean player. I don't think he's out there to hurt anybody." Related Caps news: the Capitals finished the preseason on a high note with a 5-2 win over the St. Louis Blues. While the night ended early for Tom Wilson, it was still a solid performance by several big-name players. Sunday's game was very different from the rest of the preseason games. Rather than dressing several prospects looking to impress or bubble players battling for jobs, Sunday's game saw what will most likely be the lineup for Wednesday's opener. Here are the players who played on Sunday like they are in mid-season form. Devontae Smith-Pelly. It's been a tough preseason for Smith-Pelly. He did not make his preseason debut until Friday because he was still trying to get to the level where he was at last year, according to Todd Reardon. That's not a lot of time to prepare for the regular season, but the difference in his game from Friday to Saturday was noticeable. Smith-Pelly was all in for this game. Killing a penalty in the first period, Smith-Pelly sold out for a big shot block, and let me tell you, you could hear the puck hit him from up in the press box. DSP is putting it all on the line to block the puck on the PK, and it's still just the preseason. Stream the Smith-Pelly has also involved offensively with 4 shots on goal and scored an empty net goal. Alex Ovechkin upped his goal total for the preseason to 4 once he was finally able to get a shot on net. A bad turnover by St. Louis in their own zone gave the puck to Ovechkin, where he was able to tee it up for a thunderous one-timer into the back of the net. The Capitals captain fired 9 shot attempts, but only one of them got on net, and clearly, he made it count. Ovechkin won his 7th Rocket Richard Trophy last season for leading the NHL in goals. This year, the frontrunner is believed by most to be Patrick Lane of Winnipeg, but based on how he has looked in the preseason, Ovechkin may not be ready to yield his goal-scoring crown just yet. Nick Dowd. The biggest knock on Dowd when he was battling for a 4th-line spot in training camp was the lack of offensive upside. Dowd, however, scored in the 3rd period on a nice shot from the high slot and really seemed to find nice chemistry with Smith-Pelly and Chandler Stevenson. Considering this game was seen as a dress rehearsal of what the likely lineup will be on Wednesday, it is good to see that line clicking together right away. Braden Holtby. Despite it being the preseason, there are some fans out there who have watched the preseason with trepidation, considering the amount of goals teams have managed to score even when Holtby is in net. Holtby, however, believes he is at his best when he is in a rhythm. It's hard to get that in the first few games of the preseason, considering you are trying to knock the rust off and playing with a lot of young prospects you are not used to playing with. Plus, you're not even getting the full game. Sunday's game was Holtby's most consistent and best performance of the preseason. He did allow 2 goals, but he also stopped a breakaway in the first period and was strong all game long. He turned aside 21 of the 23 shots he faced. More Capitals news.